Dadnarok presents the WandaVision After show. This is Sean.
And this is Chris.
We are back here once again. It is episode 6 of WandaVision. What's the title of this one called? Let me see. I had it over here at some
Like
point.
an all new Spooktacular or something like
Yeah,
that.
it was a really long one. It was a Halloween episode, basically, done in the style of kind of the 2000s, the aughts. Malcolm in the Middle was the heavy influence in this one.
Yeah, it was too. But before we get started, guys, see the banner there? If you haven't already, like, subscribe, hit that little bell so you know when we go live, it smacks you and says, hey, they went live. We are interactive as well. So, drop a comment on us. If we miss anything, we'll be happy to go ahead and address it here live on the show.
That's right. We're interactive, baby. Comment, like, subscribe, all that junk that you hear over and over again.
It must work.
If you hear it enough, maybe you'll do it. How'd you like this episode there, Chris?
At first, honestly, it was a little slow to me. It took some growing. It wasn't one of those ones just like past ones that I was immediately into. Like the whole Malcolm in the Middle, was it?
Yeah.
The whole opening of that, I caught that immediately. I didn't catch the name of the show, but I recognized it.
Yeah.
And then going in and having the boys, narrating when they come in, that was fun.
Yeah.
But it took a second for it actually to get moving for me. Well, what about yourself?
I liked it right off the bat. I think it ramped up really quick. Like the first part of the show where it was just kind of like mainly that sitcom stuff. I'm a fan of Malcolm in the Middle, so I recognized it. And I just the same way that they did a great job in all the decades, the 60s, 70s, 80s. This was 2000s. It was like, more in your face, to the extreme, quick cuts, like just that style. It's hard to even like put a definition on it, but it felt very like, 2002, that era.
It felt familiar.
Yeah, it felt familiar. Yeah. But going through it, it's just the stuff with Vision. I mean, Wanda was kind of going through her typical suburban mom spiel, right? And the kids being precocious, running around and full of energy, like a couple of young boys would be. And then Pietro being like the standard fun uncle, right? That was all that felt like it felt true. Like it felt like that this actually would have been a sitcom back in the early 2000s. But then Vision coming down, and you could tell right away, like Vision was just off. I think Vision's putting on a show for Wanda, like just giving her what she wants. And like when he had that moment where he was like, because she was so glad that he put on that costume, and he literally was like, "Oh, it was the only thing in my closet." So like he was really he seemed out of it, and then he was like, "Oh, gotcha," but he's got something going on.
No, he wasn't happy with that. But man, they leaned right into her her brother, Pietro. Thank you. With him and his Quicksilver running around and his speeds and everything.
Yeah,
they did not shy away from that at all. I mean, they jumped right into that from the get go when the boys woke him up on the couch.
Yeah, that was fun. And I'm trying to think of, I guess, just some points. And overall, the episode, we can get into it, but it really just kind of ramped up like crazy. Towards the end, it was some epic stuff.
Yeah. Well, let's just kind of get into it a little bit here. So at the beginning there, I mean, they're ramping up for Halloween.
Yeah.
And Wanda comes down and she's dressed up as
a Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch. I mean, it's like, boom, there it is. I mean, we've been waiting for it. But she's a fortune teller from the country or whatever it is. Yeah. And it's like one of the boys color an old Red Riding Hood.
Oh, old Red Riding. Yeah, that was mean.
Another one thought it was cool. Then her brother was like, nope, that's corny.
Lame. Yeah.
Lame. So it was kind of fun seeing that dynamic and, them finding a costume for them. So they run to the store and come back and they're dressed in like I guess a Quicksilver.
He's in his proper Quicksilver attire. It's all like thrown together costumes that look like they would be homemade. I don't know. I mean, these days there's cosplayers that's like their full time profession is making realistic, like movie quality costumes. But
And then they're throwing that together, making everyone else
yeah,
look professional.
Vision too. I mean, Vision looked like it was, just they pulled something together out of the thrift store or
he,
something.
he was supposed to be like a Mexican wrestler or something like
Yeah,
that.
Luchador. Yeah,
Luchador. Ah, that's terrible. Oh man. But yeah, I mean they get that going. And all of a sudden they zoom out, and I mean once again we're back on the other side of the hex.
yeah,
And we're seeing Monica Rambeau and director Hayward.
yeah.
And they're kind of going back and forth, and man, Monica's she's calling him on a carpet. She's like she's not putting up with it, and it's
Good.
it got pretty testy there.
Yeah, you can tell the dynamic, and they've given us enough backstory with them where they were probably on equal footing at one point, or maybe she was probably maybe even above him at some
I'll
point.
I'll say above him.
And then after the blip, because she doesn't hold back at all. She, as far as like chain of command or authority,
Yeah.
she calls him out to the floor, like you said, and rightfully so. Like, why are you not telling me these things?
Yeah, and there was one specific spot in that episode, at that point of the episode, which I think is very telling. And I think it's going to be a point that connects this show to Falcon Winter Soldier. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to roll a clip here, and I'll explain what I think.
Captain Rambo, you have become an impediment to this mission. Constantly advocating on behalf of superpowered individuals. Yes, I know your history with Carol Danvers. And all you people who left still have the luxury of optimism. You have no idea what it was like. What it took to keep the lights on.
Don't use the last 5 years as an excuse to be a coward.
Maybe it's a good thing you weren't here when your mother died. Because clearly you don't have the stomach for this job.
Yikes,
Dude, when he said, "Good thing you weren't here when your mother died," I thought she was going to come at him.
yeah.
I really
Like,
thought she was going to come at him. But to give you an idea of what I was thinking, so
what's
kind
your
of
theory here? Tell the people.
So I think Sword and director Howard is connected to Zebo in Falcon Winter Soldier.
Really, where are you thinking this?
And the reason I think that is, I think Hayward is done with superheroes. He wants them gone, and I think he's holding on to resentment over the blip.
Yeah,
And he thinks it's their fault that it took place. The only reason that Thanos was here was because of the superheroes that were on our planet. And if they weren't here, they wouldn't have been. He wouldn't have been actually like he wouldn't have come here to do anything about it.
hmm. Could be. Well, it just depends on how much information he has, I guess, because I mean they seem to have a lot of information about the what happened in Endgame. But Thanos was going to do what Thanos was going to do regardless, whether Earth was a presence or not. Like,
He's inevitable.
yeah, he is. That's a galaxy-wide thing. That's been
Yeah.
his goal before he even knew Earth was a blip on the map, right? So,
But I don't think he would have known. I mean, he may know. He has obviously he's got information more than say you and I would in that
right.
world.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I think
mean, to your point, he certainly isn't giving Wanda any room. I mean, he's all against Wanda 100%. While Jimmy Woo and Monica are willing to like hear her out because she was at one point an Avenger and they thought well enough for her. I mean, if she's on a team with Captain America, like she's got to have some good qualities, right?
yeah, and Monica said if she's the problem, she has to be the answer.
Yeah,
There's no way that they don't know what's going to happen if she dies. If she dies, that may take them all out for a certain radius. She may be kind of like like a ticking time bomb.
right.
You take her out, her powers are released, and then it may wipe out who knows what kind of radius, area.
So let me ask you this: so if Hayward is the bad guy, and there's certainly each and every episode they've been steering more and more in that direction, right? To the point now where they're not yelling.
They're not even trying to cover it.
They're not hiding it, yeah. Even Darcy later in the episode, she's like, "Oh, she finds some kind of dirt on him, right?"
Yeah.
So how connected do you think he is with Westview and what's going on here? Do you think he had any sort of role in the creation of it?
I think he might, and it may be connected to the other person. There's absolutely someone else in this picture that we just don't know yet.
Yeah.
There's somebody else controlling it. I was at one point convinced that it was going to be Agnes. I don't think it's Agnes anymore.
I don't know. They kind of threw everybody for a loop with that scene where she came out of it like any other citizen of Westview.
But
And
then
she
she
was
did the whole
remembered.
laughing thing. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. And that's kind
Right.
of like, hold on.
Does she have a mental break, or is she just enjoying herself?
Are
Or
they purposely trying to throw us off of this character? And
right.
it's somebody else. I mean, that would be the classic, sitcom thing. Then
Yeah,
a misdirection.
that's true. So I'm so 50-50 now. Like before I was like, full on maybe 80-90% sure that Agnes had some sort of role in the creation of Westview and like this whole thing. But now I'm 50-50. I'm not totally turned off because at the same time it's like, well, why has she had such a role since the first episode? She's in the opening credits of all these things too.
Yeah,
Like she has more of a role than the standard other tenants of Westview.
she's a
There's
part of the
something going
family.
on. Yeah, yeah, she's always popping over. And she was able to like, take care of the twins in the last episode when they were babies and stuff. So yeah, I mean, jury's out. There's still something going on with Agnes that we don't know about.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. It's hard telling. I don't know if she knows something that's going on or knows who's controlling it, and she's fearful of Wanda, or if
Right.
she's the one that's actually doing something and connecting. That she could be the connection to Hayward on the outside. Like,
Mm.
and that's how he's able to track the inside. That's how he's able to see everyone and know where they're at. That's how he was able to go ahead and to get that tracker on Vision, because later on in this episode we find out that he's able to track the basically the Mind Stone.
Oh, the vibranium, the
Yes,
decaying signal of the vibranium that he's made of.
yeah. So he was able to track him, and he knows where he is
Yeah.
within. So I mean, that even led me more to believe that when Wanda took Vision's body and put him in this, it's almost, I think she is protecting Vision. I think
Yeah.
I think Hayward and Zebo and all these other people that we know out there that don't want like superheroes may try to weaponize him against other superheroes.
I mean, that's solid. That could be because, I mean, who, besides Thanos, who almost took out the Avengers, the last one before Thanos was Ultron. And Ultron was a man-made creation by Stark,
Yeah.
They could be trying to like reinvent the wheel, make out of Vision, which came from Ultron. Maybe they're trying to create like an Ultron 2.0 or something to take out superheroes in general. And we know Baron Zemo, that was his whole ploy during Civil War. He wanted the Avengers to break up. He didn't want superhero. Like he blamed them for the horrors of what was going on in his home country, which I think he's actually from Sokovia too. So there are some connections there. I think his family died. And if Sokovia is from Wanda's from, I think that might have been the city that was raised up in Age of Ultron. It's been a while since I've watched the second
Yeah.
Avengers.
Yeah, it's been a good while
But
as
there
well.
is some connection there. I think it makes sense that we're going to dive from one into the other. So that's a good thing to watch out for.
And they've even come out and said all these shows are connected in some manner.
Sure.
Which is going to go ahead and connect to the movies. So
I mean,
if
you
they
have to, right? Each and every cinematic release has had some sort of tether to the next one where they reference kind of either plot points or there's characters that show up again, from here and there. And that's what's drawn us back each and every time for 20 plus years is
Yeah.
the connected story that we keep like, oh, I recognize that. I see what's going on there.
Yeah, this isn't an Agents of Shield going on here. This is
Right.
This is everything in one world is happening
Yeah.
together. So if we're watching in Westview, and Stark is back, in L.A. or wherever he's at,
Right.
they're living at the same time. If Tony was still with us,
Yeah. So I like your theory. I think there's more to tell there for sure.
but what else happened? Anything else important? What do you think
Well,
here?
So back in Westview and their little holiday spooktacular, their extravaganza, they're basically the whole town's going trick or treating and stuff. The beginning of the episode, Vision, he says he's going to go out with the neighborhood watch, which is different perhaps than Wanda had scripted in her head as far
Yeah.
as the reality of the day, right?
When trick-or-treating with the kids.
Yeah, she's thrown off by it. She's like, but you just got dressed. You're not going with me. Like, you could tell, like, that's not what she had
Mhm.
written or conjured for him. He's breaking away from that. But she just kind of goes with it because it's like, what else do you do? Because he stops her. He's like, why? Like, he's very
Am
pointed
I not
towards
free
her, like,
will to do as I want?
exactly. Yeah, right. So she kind of has no choice but to just kind of leave it be and let him do what he's going to do. But then later in the episode, as they're trick or treating, she runs into Herb, who kind of confirms her suspicions that he's not with a neighborhood watch.
Yeah, no.
He's out and about. He's even since last episode, or maybe even the episode before that, he's got suspicions with what's going on here.
Well, even her brother in the episode a little bit later, like calls her out. It's like, where did all these children come from? It's
Yeah,
like there was no children at the park. There was no children in Westview
until they had an
prior to this.
argument, and Vision brings up the point that there are no children in the town, and
Yeah.
then the next episode, it's full of kids.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Pietro is even like sitting down and while they're kind of at their town hall area while the kids are going around and running and the movie's playing, they start talking, going back and forth, and he's like, "How did you do this?"
Yeah,
And she kind of gets into that, and she gets into what we all know. I mean, she basically puts it out there. Is like she was broken. She is broken. She
right.
was lonely. She was all by herself, and she doesn't know how she did it. And he's kind of been playing the card of he's impressed, which I don't. He's not who he is. There's no doubt in my mind. He's not Quicksilver. He's not Pietro.
No,
I mean,
he can't be. I mean, Pietro's the one that we know from MCU and Age of Ultron is dead. So,
and we even get like confirmation that if you are in the hex and you were dead at one point, if you leave it, you're not going to be alive. And I kind of jumped the shark here a little bit. I'll play this clip here and we can kind of address it because it's kind of what I'm addressing as well. You can kind of see in that clip there,
yeah,
he's coming apart.
yes,
He's falling apart. So I mean, if he was dead in the real world, with him staying out there, because he's out there for a little bit longer than that clip shows,
yeah,
basically comes apart and dies again in the real world.
yeah. That's interesting. I didn't realize, and it doesn't explicitly say so because we don't get a good shot of him until, well, actually, until. Well, later in the episode, yeah, we kind of jumped the gun here a little bit. Later in the episode, well, I guess we'll get there. We'll talk about it, but I do want to. There's a couple other things with Pietro I want to bring up too, like where she's questioning him because he's not the same. I mean, he looks different. They recast Pietro, or she did, or somebody did.
Yeah.
And so she's kind of suspicious about him. So he brings up a reference, and back in the Malcolm in the Middle style, the quick cuts, like the Family Guy did this too, where you mention something, then you do a quick cut pull away of that thing, where they did where he says, "Oh, this reminds me of the time where we went trick or treating back in Sokovia when we were kids," and they pull away, and it shows a little clip of them getting a raw fish from one of their neighbors or something, and then it cuts back to her, and she's like, "I don't remember it that way," so she has a suspicion too, where this isn't her Pietro. Like,
yes,
some
he's questioning the whole episode,
right?
So I mean,
even later in the episode, she was like, "Do you remember that one time where?" And he calls her out on it, like, "Oh, you're questioning me," but like, well, yeah, you're not answering her question. So just because you're kind of lampshading it there a bit, which is what they do in TV sometimes. But that was a little frustrating. That happens in TV shows too. It's like they didn't have the time to actually sit and talk about these things. But that's WandaVision, right? I mean, they're in a sitcom. They're working with sitcom realities. And while maybe in the movies, Wanda wouldn't necessarily let the scene go by without her drawing some more information out of him, in a sitcom, you could just keep rolling right through
Yep.
and not addressing things.
Yeah, I mean, it went as far as when they were sitting down there talking, and she's questioning about other things, and well, he starts questioning her
Yeah.
and asking her, and she's kind of reluctant. And I think there was a point where she looked at him, and just like she's seeing dead vision, she's seen Pietro with like 3 bullet holes in his chest.
Yeah. He looked like a corpse too. So what does that mean? Is he actually a corpse? This is just her like trauma of like the last time that she saw him, what he looked like?
Like he said, I came when you called me.
Right.
What does that mean?
Yeah. It's so funny how subtle this show is with who is to blame here. Like, I feel like we're not going to get the answer to that maybe until the final episode. Like, is
We
this
may
all
not get
Wanda?
it, period.
Oh, boy, I
Dude,
hope so.
this may roll into, we may not get a full answer to who's like actually responsible for this until we start getting into Spider-Man 3 and
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange, and that's where we may get the answers to this.
Oh man, I hope we get more than that.
I mean, I don't know if that would constitute them sticking the landing, drawing us, but that would be typical Marvel.
Yeah,
That'd be Marvel saying to be continued.
Yeah.
I mean, it would suck. But I don't know how the world would feel about the ending, ending that way. But I mean, we'll find out.
They've just been so good with the whole like, is this all Wanda or is it not? I mean, Pietro, when she's talking to her in the episode, she's like, the last time that, this is a little bit more than just your red wallabadoo and putting stuff into people's heads. Like, this is more extravagant than that. He kind of calls her out on that. Like, I wonder what happened. Like, did you basically the same? Once again, the show is asking the same questions that we are as viewers out in the real world. Like what is happening? Is this all Wanda? Is this something else? How did we get to this point? It would be so fascinating. I'm hoping the show. What I'm hoping they do, and we may not. You actually scared me a lot that they're not going to do this. But you know how we had that episode where it introduced Monica as a sword agent and it gave us backstory, and it's like flashbacks that led us up to the point where they got to Westview. I'm hoping we see some Wanda flashbacks. Like, how did we get there? How did she get to Westview?
We don't have time for that now. If they're going to fall in line with what we've already been teased by the actor who does Vision, Paul Bettany, how he said the last 3 to 4, we know it's going to be 3 episodes now, are going to be Marvel movie style.
Yeah.
Like these three together are going to be basically a movie, 3 episodes, which would be roughly about an hour and 20 minutes, maybe give or take. They won't have time to do a flashback, It seems like to me it's going to get pretty quick because now we're already seeing clips of Monica. Her blood is already changing. Her cells are changing.
Yeah.
So she's gaining those powers she's just not aware of yet.
Right.
When she's already seen going back into the Hex in her like little tank-like thing. So
that's coming. Next episode, it's got to be coming.
So she's going to get in there.
And we're going to figure out who this contact is that she's bringing in here to help her. Who do you think it's going to be? Anybody important?
I think it's going to be somebody. I don't think it's going to be anybody Fantastic Four like everyone's hoping for. I don't think it's going to be anyone X-Men. Because I think the X-Men thing here, I think this is a throwaway. I think this is them screwing with us. I don't think there's going to be any X-Men like continued storyline once she blasts him out, because I think it's coming. She already hit him once when you said your dead husband can't die twice.
Yeah, what was that about? He's being a dick.
Yeah, so she's almost had enough of him there.
Yeah,
and if she blasts him out of the Hex, that would be interesting. So I'd like to see that dynamic. Would just a corpse fall out of it? But that's kind of weird.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. I have no more answers. We're like 6 episodes in. I have no more answers than I did from, episode 1, really. We're still wondering about these same things. And they give us plot and they give us developments, but not quite enough. We're still, they're really kind of stretching out the mystery here, which I do appreciate. It makes it for an interesting show. It keeps you along.
Yeah, I think she's in control of the Hex. she's in control of what's going on for the most part within everything. But I
Yeah.
think there's something else in there that has some semblance of control.
Yeah. Is there
And
anything controlling her?
yeah, and I think they want to keep her in that broken state.
Yeah.
Because if she's in that broken state, this is all going to stay the way it is. And by introducing Pietro, I think that kind of was trying to help keep her happy, keep her in that. Because they see her and Vision breaking.
Hmm.
You see all of a sudden mommy and daddy having fights, and daddy
Right.
lying about where he's going just to get away,
Yeah.
going to work in the evening to get away from the family just to have some daddy time. So you see that dynamic is starting to split. He's starting to question her. I mean, not this last week. We've seen them basically go toe to toe in the living room.
Yeah.
So there may be something that happens between the two of them that drops the shield, drops the hex. But they hint towards they got to protect it. So are they going to be? I don't, dude. My head is spinning. Honestly,
I know, mine is too. I feel like the next episode and the next few, I mean, we have seen clips in the trailer where Vision and Wanda seem to be more on the same page again. Maybe she kind of confesses to him what this is all about. Hopefully we'll get to more information. But speaking of Vision, I mean, he kind of goes through his own thing in this episode, right? So he wasn't with the neighborhood watch. He starts exploring the town. The further that he gets away from the house to the outskirts and the edge of the town, the more that he sees that the townsfolk are just like moving in slow motion or moving in repeat and not really talking to each other.
that one lady was crying. She was putting up the
She was
how
stuck
like
in a loop.
yeah.
Yeah.
You've seen the tear that's kind of going down her cheek, which wasn't in a loop. That was just going down.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like there's pain happening.
People are trapped. People are
Yeah,
trapped in what's going on here. And they seem to be aware of their existence, but almost like a prisoner within their own mind. That's what it seemed to be like with Norm when he awakened to Norm the other day, too, or the other episode. So he's having his confessions or his suspicions confirmed, and until finally he sheds the whole cheap costume of Vision and turns into his normal Vision looking thing, the way he looked in the Avengers movies, and he floats up into the sky. He's like, I got to get a bird's eye view of this town because
yeah,
something is just not right here. He sees a car parked towards the outskirts towards Ellis Avenue,
yeah. Boys
which,
can't go past Ellis Avenue.
yeah, that's right. Wanda specifically tells the boys not to go past because, I mean, duh, like that's exactly, don't want her kids going past the edge of reality for them. Um, so yeah, and it's Agnes sitting in this car, and this is and we kind of mentioned it a little bit. This is a scene that kind of threw me off as far as who Agnes is, what her intentions are, because, and this is what has me. I'm wondering if she's not the person that Jimmy Woo is there to see initially, because she claims how she got lost, and she got turned around, and I guess she got too far out of the realm of where Wanda's powers are in full, so she got to be like the other residents where she kind of like lost in a daze, right? And she was just sitting at this intersection, but she mentions that she got lost, and Vision says, in a town that you grew up in. I guess that was a story that she gave as a sitcom resident, right? Which tells me, well, if she's not from this town, maybe she's an outsider from this town, which maybe she was the witness protection person.
Yeah, that's
Um,
a good catch. 'Cause I thought that was a throwaway, like a character, just a
yeah,
reason to get him there. That would make sense if she was that person that that went missing, because Jimmy Woo's character never referenced her by name or them by name at all.
right. And then you got to wonder if she is that person. Well, why is she hiding out in this town? Maybe it doesn't negate the fact that she might still be a Agnes or a witch, or you know what I mean. Like she may still have something special going on with her, but it may be all connected. Outside of that, yeah, she acts really weird. I mean, he takes her out of the trance the way he did with Norm at work, but she confirms us to some things so we know that she's aware of what actually happened with Vision. You're an Avenger, but you died. But she doesn't have this freak out that Norm does. She essentially, or maybe she does. I don't. I mean,
She
she
had a
starts
missed heart
laughing.
like freak out.
Yeah,
That's what she had when she just starts saying, "You're dead, you're dead, you're dead," and she's laughing. And then Vision's kind of freaking out himself. You kind of see it in his face, like, what's going on? Then he touches our head and she's gone.
Right.
And then it says something about "see you later, neighbor."
Yeah, later, neighbor. She's right back into sitcom mode.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a scary scene. Like we mentioned, jury's still out with Agnes. No closer to knowing the true answers there. But Vision goes to the edge of town now, and he's like, I got to find out. And this is where he goes through the barrier, like we watched earlier. And he suspicions are confirmed as far as these people need help. And that's what he says to these folks as much. And Darcy, she runs out there. She's like, why won't you help him? They're all got their like guns drawn at him.
Well, there was a point where Agnes also said she's doing it. He said she's doing it. Not
Right.
Wanda's doing it. She's doing it. So who is she? I mean, I don't know. I was like I said before, I feel like Agnes is a misdirection. And I always feel like Wanda may be a misdirection. She's controlling the size and generally what's happening, but I don't know who she could be, unless it's just as blatantly obvious as Wanda.
Yeah.
And I mean, there may not be, and we may be thinking misdirection, but in reality, it's sitting in front of us the whole time.
Right. It's going to be so interesting to get through the end of this series. I'm definitely going to, this is one I'm actually going to do a rewatch of it pretty quick after the series finale, because I feel like there's going to be all kinds of little clues dropped towards the truth of this series throughout. And
it's only 20 minutes, 25 minutes per episode.
Yeah. So it's an easy watch to go through.
It's quick.
And so beyond that, so Vision's in trouble. He's outside the bubble. He's dying, or he seems to be. He's coming apart because reality is just, breaking itself. And Wiccan and Speed, who are, that's their names in the comics, but they're Billy and Tommy.
Yeah.
Tommy, I forget which is which.
I think it was Billy. I think Tommy was the fast one. Billy is the one that started, was like, he starts hearing Dad. And
so Tommy got super speed, like his uncle. He's running around the town square stealing candy and stuff with his uncle. And Wiccan ends up getting these telepath abilities, kind of like Wanda. So he ends up hearing the pain that Vision is in, and hearing even dialogue that Hayward is giving outside the bubble of Westview. And so he freaks out. He runs to Wanda, and Wanda, in retaliation and to try to save Vision, bring him back to reality, she expands the bubble, right?
They all become a part of the traveling circus.
Yeah, that was fun how their little tents, their military tents, turned into circus tents. And poor Darcy, man. It'd be fun to see what she looks like next episode.
I know. I was like, man, Darcy. Well, she's a big fan. So she's a part of the show.
Part of the show, yeah.
Oh, man.
So Hayward gets away, but I mean, pretty much everybody else in SWORD seems...
His whole team's gone.
Yeah, because he tried to get him on the comms, and they weren't reporting
No
back.
one was responding, so it's him plus like two people in the car. And that's all that's left from his team.
And maybe, I think Monica and Jimmy are still outside of the bubble.
Yeah, those two are running. Basically, they see it getting bigger on the rearview mirror, and Monica guns it.
So that leaves us in a very interesting place for next episode, where we come up across, typically Wanda and Vision, they kind of jump decades, and they just kind of go across their business, and it's like, just like any sitcom, everything starts brand new again, where you don't deal with the issues of the previous episode, right?
But I think this is the beginning of that, 3 to 4 episode type Marvel movie.
Like, I don't know how you can just start up the next episode of WandaVision and just be the standard sitcom crap. Like, you've got to address the end of this episode.
The elephant in the room, with the circus.
So what do you think? I mean, like we were saying, the show really ramped up throughout it, and it just picked up with more and more plot.
And it just stopped with that, with Wanda being like, nope. And she widens the bubble and brings, we don't see Vision come back to life, but he's in one piece again. I think it's a fair and safe assumption to say we're going to see him stand up and walk away, or, be alive again.
I wish we would have gotten a better idea of what he looked like outside that bubble when he was kind of in the fetal position, laying in the grass there. We see the red bubble kind of go over him again, and then he's back in his standard Vision outfit. But I'm wondering if he looked like that gray husk, how he looked at the end of Infinity War.
Yeah, Infinity War.
Yeah, but we were it was such a bird's eye view, you didn't really get a good look at him. But It's tough to say. But yeah, I mean, strange things occurring. And once again, another great episode for a good show, man.
Yeah, this show has lived up to every expectation I had for it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had I had the bar high.
Yeah.
I was pumped for this. And I don't know if I was pumped for it because we haven't had a whole lot of content. I mean, Mandalorian was one of the main things, and we were waiting
Or even
for this.
specifically Marvel content. We've
Yeah.
had like none since Endgame.
Nothing. So we were all kind of waiting and wanting. And there's so much speculation out there. There's so many people that I think are drawing conclusions off of little things,
Right.
which I think are huge misdirections. I think there's so many people just trying to do things and trying to reach. And I don't know.
I think you're right. I think, I don't blame these sites and these people and writing these articles and making these videos saying, oh, well, it's definitely Mephisto behind this whole thing. And we're definitely going to see Reed Richards come in this next episode, this engineer or whatever. But it's like, I don't, there's no definites with this show. It throws curveballs left and right. So
I think we're going to see a face or two that we know. And like I said earlier, I don't think we're going to see X-Men, period. I think this is once Quicksilver's gone, and once this is over, her twins will be gone too.
Boy.
This is going to end bad. Something is going to happen, and it's going to end very, very badly.
I mean, if Wanda was in a dark place after, a few weeks ago after Endgame,
I think Vision's going to be gone. I think he's going to die. The hex, something's going to happen, in that the powers of the hex is going to drop. And when that drops, all the power that she had over everyone in that
you're right,
is going to be gone.
If that fulfills, then no wonder she's going to be the main villain. Then she's definitely going to be the main villain of the Doctor Strange movie. Because she's going to take a Doctor Strange to bring her down.
Yeah, all the power she had over everyone's going to be gone. The twins who aren't real are gone. Her brother is now gone. Vision is the husk laying on the ground again. And she goes full Scarlet Witch, glowing in her costume in the air. She may not come out of that costume. This may be one continuous, time frame. Now, this may be, from the night of Halloween through, the next night. That may be the time frame we're looking at now in the last episode or two, or the last 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So if she stays in that, then all of a sudden she goes. I mean, she's hovering, and she's got like some type of, her red flames are now kind of coming off her.
Right.
Like Dark Phoenix almost.
Yeah.
I mean, you better run.
We're in the end game now. I mean, we're cruising towards episode 7, 8, 9, which Paul Bettany said is going to be kind of more your standard Marvel cinematic movie fare. So I'm looking forward to it. Basically, we're getting a new Marvel movie split up into 3 episodes.
Yeah.
The next few episodes, which is very fun.
Yeah. Now I'm really jonesing. Like, I want to see a Doctor Strange. Yeah. I want to see somebody come in. I want a Dr. Banner. That would make sense.
Yeah.
If the Hulk came in, I mean, granted, he's not going to. I mean, he got his butt kicked by I forget her name in. That was with Doctor Strange.
Valkyrie from Ragnarok.
Well, he got his butt kicked a few times. But,
yeah, for being a Hulk.
For being a Hulk, he's kind of puny.
He gets kicked around,
but yeah, or even Shuri. I think that would be okay.
Oh, that would be interesting.
So they've been saying that there is a guest appearance. If she comes in with the knowledge she has from Wakanda to drop the hex,
or the fact that Disney Plus announced a Wakanda show coming out for Disney Plus,
there we go. They can connect them.
They could.
So if they kind of do with one of these episodes, like they did with Ahsoka with Mandalorian, and kind of have almost like a pilot for her own show or their own show. If she comes in and she's one of the main reasons that gets together with, say, Doctor Strange, they figure out how to drop the hex, and Strange is the one that I wouldn't say defeats her, but she flees, and she's still a problem.
Right. Yeah. Because she is a problem right now. Like, Hayward is going about it the wrong way, and he definitely has ulterior motives here. But Wanda is doing some twisted stuff right now. Like, Wanda's
she's your typical villain in any other movie.
Right. Like, if she didn't have the history that we know about as Marvel movie watchers, then we'd be like, bring this bee down, because she is basically torturing a town full of people for her own selfish means. Yeah.
Dude, I'm ready. I mean, this was the first episode that me and Janessa really didn't talk a ton afterwards.
Yeah.
But to be fair, she just had her second shot yesterday. She was under the weather all day today.
Yeah, she's becoming fully COVID immune thanks to the vaccine. Got her
Yeah,
second round.
so Wanda wouldn't affect her. So I'm waiting for next week. I can still see her, like, even when her not feeling good, she is fully engulfed in it. And she's so fully engulfed in it, I can call while I'm dashing. I'm like, hey, honey, I just had this theory. Check this out. Just hear me out.
Yeah, that's
Which
funny.
is amazing because I never thought I'd have that with her with any
No,
type of
that's
like this.
great. And you know, at the end of this episode, I kind of had that feeling that you get when you're way into the episode and it just ends like a TV show does, and you're just like, oh, come on. Like, I don't want to wait till next week.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to get that 2 more times with the next 3 episodes.
And I as much as I hate it, I love it.
Yeah.
Because now I'm seeking out information online. I'm seeking out other videos to watch.
Right.
I couldn't wait for us to sit down and talk about this.
I know.
It's just one of those things that you can take all this information that you have and then hear everyone else's opinion.
Yeah.
And then kind of like form your own and see exactly where it goes. And the fun part is to see who's right.
Right.
I mean, that's why we geek out. That's why we make our own fan theories. We want to see if we are connecting the dots in the correct way.
Yeah, a lot of fun. We'll be back next week for sure for episode 7 to see where the heck this thing goes from here.
Okay, guys. Well, like Sean said, I think we've enjoyed this one here. We wrapped this one up pretty tightly. Like we said earlier, if you haven't already liked, subscribed, or hit that bell, go ahead and do so. It helps us out tremendously. We put these videos out 10 o'clock live every Friday night as long as the show goes. And once this show's over, we'll have an after show for the next show. So just because this one is over doesn't mean we won't have another one coming. Drop a comment below. Do you have a theory? Do you think we're right? Do you have an idea where this is going that we may be missing? Let us know. We'll talk about it next week. But I think that is a good spot for us to go ahead and end the show. What do you say, sir?
See you next week.
See you next week, guys.